Good evening, everybody. This is Teresa Crack, and I am here with Sonia, if you want to say hi.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sonia Hingarani, the VP of Professional Development.
And we are officially back with our SWE PNW Digital Digest after a few month hiatus. So thank you all for joining us either in the live broadcast or on the replay. To remind everybody what we run through on our SWE PNW Digital Digest, we start off with a minute or so with SWE PNW, where we run through how you can connect with SWE PNW, we highlight some upcoming events, and we talk about some engagement opportunities that you can have with the section. Then we dive into the SWE business and behind the scenes information. It's a little bit more of a detailed look. We do try to keep it to the interesting stuff. We promise to try to do that. We flow out the society info, and then we recognize our members who have gotten shout-outs within SWE PNW. And then we will wrap up by doing an Ask Me Anything. And this is your chance to ask questions. How do you ask questions? You post them to the Facebook event discussion. You can find that through our Facebook page. And we will make sure that we have ample time there at the end to see if there's any questions that are posted.
Okay.
All right, so then starting off here with a minute or so with SWE PNW. Welcome to our March edition of our quick look at our section. So starting up first, we have a lot of ways that we communicate with section members. We've got a great website. We keep that up to date, and that is the starting point to link to everything else that we have, from the blog to our newsletter archives to our monthly highlights email that we send out, now named SWE PNW Happenings. Hopefully you've seen that come in your inbox, as well as all of our social media platforms. So we make sure to encourage you guys to connect to that. And so you might be wondering how you can connect to SWE PNW for events. We've got a lot of ways to do that, and there's some really neat features on all of this stuff. On our website, we do have a Google Calendar. You can sync that to your own Google Calendar, therefore it can show up on your phone and in your calendar when you're looking at that, and those sync instructions are out on the webpage. We have our Facebook listing of events. Please like them, interact with them, share them. If you've got pictures at the event, post those in the discussion. If you tag us, and you can tag us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, we will definitely try to make sure that we share those back out to our page and acknowledge your pictures, because we love to see the pictures at our events. We also have an email list. That is probably one of the best ways to make sure that you see stuff in your inbox, is to make sure you are signed up for our email list. So you can find that through our webpage as well. The other really neat thing is that we run all of our events, both paid and free, through Eventbrite. And you can find every event that we do by searching SWE PNW. You'll have different organizers there. You'll see things for professional development, social and networking, our section operations, and you can check all of those links out. And the really neat thing is that if you follow the event organizers, all of the SWE PNW ones, when an event gets published, you'll actually get a notification from Eventbrite in your inbox. So that is probably the fastest way that you would see our events coming down the pipeline, is to make sure you follow those organizers.
Teresa, quick question. How far in advance are events usually posted on basically any of the things listed on the slide? So the Google Calendar, Facebook, Eventbrite.
So that's one of the challenges that we do face as a section. We try to encourage all of our event leads and our VPs and our committee chairs to make sure they get the notification out as quickly as possible in advance. We do also try to do save the dates. So the earlier we know about something, the more we can help push it. You'll see in our next slide that we've got some events that we forecast all the way out into April to try to get, people planning a month, 2 months ahead. But sometimes it can be as short as 2 weeks. If something comes up at the last minute, we can provide as an opportunity, which is why we highly suggest making sure you're connected in all 4 of these ways to make sure that you're staying on top of the events that publish out.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. So with that, Sonia, did you want to walk us through what we've got coming up for some of our events and activities?
Definitely. So the slide in front of you basically shows the events and activities highlights that are coming up from early March to late April. So first event is on the list is March 10th, which is this coming Sunday. And it's one of our EC or executive committee meetings. It's a face-to-face meeting that's going to be held in Redmond. And this is our general monthly meeting that's open to all members. The next one on here is on the 19th of March. which is a Tuesday. It's the EYH Engineering Fair booth. That's going to be hosted at Edmonds Community College in Linwood, and this one's being hosted by our outreach and volunteering group. The next event after that is March 27th, which is going to be another one of our executive committee meetings, and this will be online. So we tend to try to do one face-to-face EC meeting and then one online meeting each month, so that we're touching base every couple weeks, but also just trying to accommodate people's schedules to do one of them virtually. So that will be, I believe that's a Wednesday, March 27th in the evening, and that would be online, and that's welcome. That's open to all members, so all members are welcome. The next event after that is going to be on 4/1. So this is a headquarters SWE Outreach Committee meeting, and that will also be online. And then early April, we're looking at having potentially a program management speaker event. And we're still kind of working through this. This would be actually the area that I focus on, which is professional development, but we still have a little bit of TBD on what this event looks like. We're trying to work through some details and trying to see if we can have it be, right on the cusp of We Local Bellevue starting, which takes me to the next event, which is on April 5th and April 6th, and that is the We Local Bellevue event, which is the conference. And that will be hosted in Bellevue this year, or this time rather. The We Local conference is in Bellevue this time. And then the last event is on April 27th, and this is the Enso Center workshop, which focuses on self-defense and stress management. It's one of our signature events that will be hosted in Redmond, and this is a really neat event. I actually attended this one last year with Teresa, and it's actually really, really neat. I learned a lot about basics to self-defense and stress management, and just like things that you can kind of do without having a lot of knowledge about the topic or background in the area, but kind of key things that you can think about. And that's about it.
Yeah, that's all really exciting. For those that stopped by our mid-year open house in January, several people from the Enso Center, Jason and Sharon, stopped by to do a quick demo. So we're really hoping to see people there. I will also say that I love the fact that we're trying to get the HQ events on our section Google Calendar, so that we are letting our members know about those HQ committee meetings, because those are open to all members. There's some sign-up instructions in terms of how to join that. So if you're interested in joining the HQ meeting, make sure you're checking the registration and sign-up requirements on our Google Calendar, because we're porting that over straight from what we're getting from the society. And if you've got any questions, it also tells you where to go on and ask on those HQ items. So exciting that we're showing all of those opportunities.
Awesome.
So speaking of the opportunities, and that's what you can come and attend. What can you do behind the scenes?
All right. Okay, so should I go ahead and take this one, Teresa?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
I think that's
great.
the perfect one to step in for you.
Awesome. All right. So basically what you're looking at here is just the different opportunities to kind of get involved with the SWE PNW section. So on the left here, you've got join a committee, right? So we're always looking for volunteers, me especially. So professional development is the first bullet. And we're always kind of looking for folks to help out, really, help with ideas on different types of events that you're interested in or you'd like to plan yourself. And then outreach and volunteering as well, college relations, scholarships, and virtual brand team, which Teresa's done a lot of work in that area. But really, we are looking for help and new ideas, right? I think we've done a lot of really neat things over the years, but we're always looking for new and creative ideas from our member base. The second pillar box, I guess, in the middle is focused on chairs and leads. And so if you're interested in taking a little bit more of a bigger role, there's opportunities to do that as well. So you've got your social and networking chair, which is an actual chair or lead role in the section. The Rainier Ramblings lead curator, which focuses on the different types of books and things that we're reading. Member engagement chair, corporate relations lead and company liaisons. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity here to really kind of expand some of our scope and the things that we work on, and really, especially the last two around corporate relations leads and company liaisons. This is a piece that I do feel that we could do a better job of, having relationships with companies and corporations around us, and really collaborate on different types of events. So that would be interesting to kind of expand upon that area. And then the last section is helping with section operations. And so this is, join a signature event planning team. So we just talked a little bit about the ENSO Center workshop, which is a signature event. The banquet would be considered a signature event. So we always need kind of help organizing those types of events. And then help with a special task force, or be a content contributor, blog, social media. And this one's really important too. We are always looking for different types of ways to communicate with members, to advertise things, to get feedback on things. And so having someone that's kind of dedicated to thinking about content would really help us, I think, in our efforts to get the word out to our member base.
Yeah, and on the content contributor, it's also just anything from big things to small things for the blog or social media. It's even just interacting in the Facebook member forum and just helping keep the conversation going, or putting prompts out there. So one of the great things, and Sonia highlighted, is that there's all kinds of levels of activities that you can get involved with behind the scenes and on planning teams. So if you are interested in something, we can right size the opportunity and your interest, and find a way to help you get involved with a section, which leads us to the great way that we can help you get support from the section. So we have several emails out there for our various focus areas and for our programs and things like that. And you can see the summary on the screen, and this will actually end up getting up on the web page if it's not already. We're in the process of doing some web page updates, so they're kind of staging that out. But this is a great way for you to understand, as a section member, if you've got a question on a specific thing, where might be your first pass. I will say, full disclosure, we borrowed this idea from the SWE HQ slide where they said, here's the emails and how you contact HQ. So we thought it was a good idea, so we set it up for our own section emails. So like if you've got a question on how to donate to SWE PNW, our treasurer email is going to be where you're going to direct that. Or if you've got a question on our EC meeting or section records questions, that would go to our secretary. And then we've, of course, got our outreach, professional development, and social emails set up there. And if you don't know who to contact and this list doesn't help you, the input to our EC board is through our secretary. So send that question over to the secretary email, and Marina, this year, is our secretary, and she'll make sure it gets routed to the right person or brought to the EC's attention so that we can figure out who the right person is to respond. And with that, that wraps up our minute or so with SWE PNW this month. Which now officially takes us to our SWE business and behind the scenes activities. So we do get it down into a little bit of SWE business here, so we hope you're still hanging on in either the live or the online review of this. And we hope you appreciate the information that we've got, because it's a lot of great stuff. So starting off with some of our section operations highlights, want to give a huge thank you to Honeywell Aerospace, located in Redmond, Washington. They came back as a second time sponsor this year, and they provided not only a meeting space for us, but they sponsored the meeting and provided a continental breakfast that had lots of warm scones and fresh fruit and juice and coffee. So it was really great to have the space there. Also want to give a special thank you to our sponsor speaker, Jim Mulkins, who's a product sales manager at Honeywell. And he introduced us to the Enhanced Ground Proximity Warning System, or EGPWS. And we had a great little mini technical talk there at the meeting. So I was really glad to have helped bring that in. And as Sonia mentioned in the minute or so with SWE PNW, wearing my company liaison hat, I help coordinate both Jim coming in and Honeywell in. And so we do have some very good best practices that we've been able to use to bring the sponsors in. So none of those roles are bigger than you need them to be, and we can definitely help coach on any of them.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that I actually the talk around the EGPWS was really, really cool. So if you're interested in different types of projects that are going on, maybe that's one selling point to join our EC meetings.
Yep. No, it's really exciting. And so one of the things that we've got with that is we've got kind of a mini sponsorship prospectus. So if you're interested in, helping play company liaison like I did with Honeywell this year, and for these meetings, or are curious about how you might be able to help SWE PNW, we've got two sort of prospectus offerings right now. One is our location host, and that's where you basically provide a meeting space to SWE PNW free of charge. And what you get from that is you get about a 5 to 10 minute slot on the agenda for a representative to speak on a topic of your choice. And we make sure you get the thank yous and the tags on social media after the event. The other one is the meeting sponsor. It's a little bit more premier there. And it's you're providing food for a meeting. So there's a monetary cost to what the sponsor is providing there. So before the event, we make sure the branding is in the event sign up, like logo, company description, whatever's provided to us. We post on social media, and we make sure we tag the sponsor and make sure we identify that. And then we try to make sure that the branding and logo appear in the emails that are sent out on the event, so that that's right up in front and clear in terms of who the sponsor is. So there's some pretty good branding opportunities there for companies. And then during and after the event, you get the similar benefits for the location host, where you get a 5 to 10 minute slot on the agenda. And then you get the thank you tags on social media after the event. So we really try to do right by those companies and organizations that sponsor and host us. So I think with that, we can go ahead and talk about some of our upcoming activities. So I'm super excited about this one. We did mention it a little bit in the minute or so with SWE PNW, but here are your details, if you will, about our next signature event, our ENSO Center workshop. This is going to be Saturday, April 27th. And we have 2 sessions. There's going to be a 10 a.m. to 12:30 session, then a lunch break, and then an afternoon session, 1:30 to 3 p.m. I'm currently confirming which session is which. One is going to be focused on self-defense, which Sonia talked about earlier, and then the other one's going to be focused on stress management. And that stress management piece is an expansion this year. We've had great success with this. This is our 3rd annual workshop. And we're going to be bringing in the stress management as well as lunch if you attend at least one session. So there will be a cost for the session, but not a cost for lunch if you attend at least one session. And so I've been taking the lead on that. I've had an event planning team helping me looking at food costs. So I want to give a shout out to Julie and Vashanavi, which I do apologize. I've probably pronounced that wrong. Also do want to give a shout out to the ENSO Center in Redmond for being very supportive of us coming back and doing this, and they're excited to have us back. We're still working on final Eventbrite setups and the costing details for members and non-members that should be going live in the next week or so. So please keep your eye out for that. Which then I think it means that I get to toss it over to Sonia for a quick rundown of our next big signature event.
Very cool. So after the ENSO Center event, which again, I highly recommend, it's really cool, really neat experience, comes our other signature event, annual banquet. So we will be hosting the annual banquet again at Ray's Boathouse. And we are confirmed actually for Sunday, May 5th, I believe, starting at 10:30 in the morning. And we'll have the Northwest banquet room for a few hours. I think it's till 1:30. So hopefully if you've been to the banquet in the past, you can kind of visualize the venue. It's very nice, nice open space. And usually the weather turns around that time, I think, so we get to end up spending some time outside on the deck near the water and take pictures. So it'll be a fun event. We'll post it on the Eventbrite as soon as we kind of work through some more details with the venue. But we do need help. It'd be great actually if we could get an event planning team lead, which would essentially lead like an event like this, or from the other slide, like another signature event. And okay, so please ignore the location coordination because we actually did secure the venue. But we are looking for help on games and icebreakers. So if you do have ideas on some of that, we're definitely all ears. We generally do the presentation and we do have a speaker come, but we're kind of looking for maybe a different flavor of something that may be a little bit more interactive this year. So if you do have any thoughts on that, you can go ahead and contact the email address there. So SWE.PNW.president@gmail.com and just see how you can help. But that's generally what we're looking for. And again, highly encourage everybody to come. We'll review what we did over the course of the year. Definitely reward people for their efforts.
Yeah, this is a really great event to sort of get that snapshot of who we are as a section in terms of a retrospective. Like we do the open house to sort of showcase where we're going, and at the end of the year we do the annual banquet to highlight where we've been. We do also at the banquet, we do have a section awards program. I believe the application is actually live year round, but we'll be pushing out a little bit more of that information as we get closer. So we do like to make sure that we're acknowledging and recognizing our section members, as well as the volunteers and our officers and everybody who has helped make the section a success this year. So that's a really cool focus. And we do typically also have a guest speaker coming in and presenting on a topic. So we'll be having that again this year. But I love this one because it's one of those ones, not only is it a great venue like Sonia mentioned, it's a great sort of rah-rah speech for look at all we did this year. And it's pretty awesome to go through and do that.
Right.
So with that, I think that takes us to one of our sort of last section business pieces. In the past digital digests and communications, we've talked about what we have is a special task force. What these are essentially small sub-teams of the section that go focus on an issue and try to come up with a plan for success. We've borrowed a little bit of this model from some of the task forces that the society did in and around anything from leadership summit evaluations to what was going on with the governance stuff originally. And so we've borrowed that model. At this point in our fiscal year, we've kind of taken a look at our priorities, and the special task forces are all currently on hold. We're in the process of assessing what was active in FY19, what was on the back burner in FY19, and we're looking ahead to which ones will essentially either reactivate, launch, or relaunch in some cases for FY20. So if you've got a suggestion for a special task force thing that we should look at in FY20 or even beyond, submit it over to the SWE.PNW.pres.elect@gmail.com. And these are any kind of ideas. If you think that we should look at how we approach, communications, and maybe we need to be doing something there, or we've got a task force that we'd had in the last year or so about our election process. So any idea is a good idea. This is basically open brainstorming, and they'll go through a vetting process and we'll decide whether they make the cut or not. We might follow back up with some questions, but we definitely want to take that feedback from our members for ideas for task forces. So speaking of society and borrowing from them, we do want to float down a few things from our society in HQ. Sonia, did you want to do a quick buzz through the SWE Individual Awards highlight here?
Sure. So if you're looking at the slide, you can see here the Society of Women Engineers strives to recognize the successes of SWE members and individuals who enhance the engineering profession and advocate for women in engineering through contributions to industry, education, and the community. If you do have any questions, you can go ahead and contact the Awards and Recognition Committee Chair, and there's the email address there at awards-chair@swe.org with any questions. And the submission here is by March 31st at 11:59 p.m. Central. So please mark those dates if you're interested in that.
Yeah, these are really great things. One of the things that since we are at the beginning of March, and if you haven't started an awards packet and you're interested, make sure you're going out to the Society Awards page to figure out what you need to do an awards packet, because a lot of them have a lot of requirements to build in there, and many of them require letters of support. So We really encourage you to make sure that you are on top of getting that. And if you've got questions, go ahead and pass that on.
Yeah.
All right, which leads to the next big thing, and we highlighted this, and we will continue to highlight. We Local Bellevue is just around the corner officially because we are now in March, and the corner is the end of March. So We Local Bellevue is the smaller conference version of the Society Conference. It's a fantastic opportunity. I had an opportunity to go to several last year in different locations just because they happen to coincide with some other trips I was taking. And it's a very small, intimate conference that does not have near the population in terms of the crowd that you see at the Society Conference, but it's got that same great content, fresh ideas, networking, professional development, several tracks, talking about career advancement. There's usually a fairly decent career fair that you see there, getting to interact and have social and networking spaces and to build that camaraderie with your fellow SWEsters. And then there's also a recognition dinner. There's been 3 so far this year. Check them off down there at the bottom. Baltimore, Tampa, and St. Louis have all occurred officially. There's some great pictures from those on the SWE page and in and around the various event pages, so I encourage you to go check that out. You can also see the latest updates from Bellevue on the Facebook event page. We've got that linked through our Facebook page. And you can check for the overall updates on all We Local conferences at the welocal.swe.org. Hot off the presses at this point, we originally had the early bird deadline for tomorrow, the 8th. It does look like that has been extended to the 15th. I would encourage you to make sure that you're checking the registration deadlines and the current information on the webpage. So if you've got questions on that, make sure you hop over to that welocal.swe.org webpage. With that, we want to highlight a few of our members that are going out and helping support We Local Bellevue by doing the big, bold, and potentially scary thing of presenting. So up first, we are happy to announce that our Alone Amongst Many, Establishing Yourself in a New Community panel is back on the agenda. It's officially been accepted and will be presented at We Local Bellevue. In this case, what we're looking at is our panel of speakers are all transplants, in some cases coast to coast or even country to country. And the panels we start with some seed questions, but we really open it up to the audience for questions on what worked well when establishing a community, what didn't, what would we do differently. In this case, it is a panel. It's going to be on Friday in the afternoon, and we've got a slate of speakers. I know we're still confirming all of the speaker details, so this was the last list that I had there. But Elaine's going to be moderating. I'm going to be on it. And we've got Claire Robinson, Kat McCoy, Marina Daniker, and Kalyani Malala, all as current panelists right now. So we're really excited that this is a great panel that we've been able to put together and submit on behalf of the section and give our section members speaking experience. So I'll toss it over to Sonia to give us a highlight of the next one.
All right, so we have a professional section case study. So this is called Life After Regions, and this one is going to be held, it's a workshop that will be held Friday, April 5th from 10 to 10:45, and our very own Teresa and Elaine will be speaking. So they will be discussing how sections are planned for the regions going away during FY18. And just generally the overall SWE PNW strategic plan approach for this fiscal year 19 and beyond. They also cover lessons learned, remaining gaps, and what FY20 will look like for SWE PNW. And so looking forward to hearing Teresa and Elaine go through that.
Yeah, and this is an exciting one because we're doing this more as a workshopping session. So we've got kind of our case study elements from SWE PNW, but we want to create that space for all sections to share because for those of us that have always existed with regions going away was a very new sort of realm of operating a section. So we're looking forward to hearing what other sections bring to the table for questions, concerns, lessons learned, and best practices for there too. So excited for that. Which takes us to one of our next speakers. We've got an improv and imposter syndrome, fake it till you make it. This is being presented by Marina Daniker, and it is a lightning talk, so it's a shorter talk. And that is Friday afternoon, 2:15, in the 2:15 to 3 o'clock block. So make sure you check the schedule to find the precise time and how those lightning talks work if you're interested in attending that. And Marina is going to be talking about the basic principles of improv and how you can take that from doing improv outside of the office space and put that into the conference room, and being able to be, use that for presenting, talking to clients, or if you're having those self-doubt moments. So we wish Marina well on this presentation. I know she's, I believe, done a lightning talk before, I think at the society thing. And I've heard good things about that. So excited to see that. So please stop by and see Marina's lightning talk.
All right. We're on the next one. Okay. Another lightning talk. Okay, so this is going to be the self-management, on the self-management and development track that's going to be hosted by our very own Claire Robinson. This will be on the Saturday, April 6th at 2:30. And so college sections naturally encourage membership and engagement in SWE, but how do professional members join in? So these are for folks that are, not necessarily aware too much about what SWE is, and trying to basically just kind of have a reach and get more folks engaged as members. So that, I think I kind of said it, but the session is designed to reach out to professional members that are not sure how to get started with SWE, or return after an absence potentially, and then basically help them connect again, or for the first time and engage with their own SWE community. So that will be a good one too.
Yeah, I'm excited that Claire's topic got selected here, the late to the SWE party, because she's got a really great sort of SWE story as how she came to SWE more as a professional than a college student. So I really encourage anybody who can to attend Claire's things. And if you know somebody that's going that has been away from SWE for a while, or maybe the conference is their first conference, bring a buddy. It's a great topic to kind of get that conversation started. Speaking of some SWE business actions, the SWE Board of Trustees Overview and Endowment Basics is going to be presented by Esther Barbuto, who is one of our section members. She is also on the Board of Trustees, and she's going to tell you what that Board of Trustees is and understand what they do, what an endowment is, and how you can get involved in this really interesting detailed part of the SWE business stuff that not everybody's into. So that is going to be on Saturday, April 6th from 2:30 to 3:30. If you're really interested about the SWE business side, especially the money side of SWE from a society level, really encourage you to attend this. Esther's a really great speaker, and she's got a lot of experience being on the Board of Trustees now, I think, for several years. So encourage you to attend her session. And then we get to go to the next one. So over to you, Sonia.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see it flip. Okay, there we go. Yep. All right, so this thing is covering the slide. Okay, the next evolution of your SWE section's digital infrastructure. So this is going to be a workshop on strategic leadership, and we'll focus on, it's going to be an interactive workshop to help sections determine what the next evolution of their digital infrastructure should be. And we'll be able to basically learn from one section's path, which is ours, right? So the SWE PNW virtual brand team has done a ton of work over the past few years on our general strategy for digital content. So they will share, Teresa and Claire, again, will share kind of best practices and lessons learned. But I think that's great because they've really spent a lot of time in kind of building up our VBT capabilities, and I think that should be extremely helpful for other SWE sections.
Yeah, this one is if you've been following SWE PNW's virtual brand stuff, this is, like, I think the fourth time that we've presented on kind of the evolution of our virtual brand, and we've updated kind of the structure off of the last one we did down last year in Portland, where we got a lot of people that were kind of a mix of, like, okay, we're just starting, and a mix of the next step. So this is now our focus on the next step. So excited to kind of bring that broader and not just the basics to other sections as well. So I'm super excited to be sharing all of that. And also the any lesson you share that you've learned helps other people avoid the blood, sweat, and tears. So I'm okay with sharing that. So then that takes us to our final sort of SWE PNW business piece, which is our shout outs. This is where we like to make sure that we recognize our members. Nothing is too big, nothing is too small, and we like to recognize our members for all things. So our March shout outs are, so Dana Day is getting a shout out from Elaine Reeves for leading the initial round of the scholarships task force in FY19. So thank you, Dana, for that. Julian and Vishnavi are getting a shout out from myself, Teresa, for helping pull together information on the lunch and budget plan for the Enso Center workshop. They really both provided some valuable insights there to help make sure the budget was right sized to be able to offer lunch to people who signed up for it. I feel weird sort of reading the next one. So,
I'll do this one.
So can you help me out there?
Okay. Shout out to Teresa from the EC. Teresa brought back Honeywell for the second time location host and meeting sponsor, which, like I said, was awesome. The speaker was really cool, really interesting information. So thanks, Teresa. You don't have to thank yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Sonia, for thanking me. And then we've got Cherie, who stepped in at our EC meeting. So I'm going to give her the shout out. Thank you there for stepping in and helping us take the meeting minutes. Had kind of a last minute shuffle there. And so I was very happy to have somebody come in. And then I'm also going to give a shout out to fellow Honeywell employee April, who helped me manage all of the security and escorting and the setup at the February face-to-face meeting. So I always appreciate when I can get a co-employee to help with that, because it means that I can be present in the meeting.
There you go.
Not just running back and forth. So thank you, April. And thank you to everybody from our shout outs page here. Just so you know, anybody can submit a shout out. This is linked right on our webpage. It's a nice, quick, easy Google form. If you want to see past shout outs, they're also on that webpage. We also have an album up on Facebook. So somewhere in the next couple of days, you'll see this slide posted out there, and we do try to tag everybody. And then we just really want to make sure that we recognize everything that our members are doing. So if you're at an event or you attend an EC meeting, or you just happen to run into somebody that you know is a SWE PNW member and they make your day a little bit brighter or a little bit sweeter, please submit a shout out. Yeah, I'm all about the punny tonight. I do apologize.
No pun intended, yeah.
So with that, want to turn the floor over to Sonia for a little bit to talk a little bit about her professional development committee.
For sure. So I'll talk a little bit about just a couple of the recent events that we did, and then kind of just really stress again, the importance of having committee members, because I really do think we could just do a lot more. So we had a couple really cool tours in the past month. We did the Factoria Recycling and Transfer Station in Bellevue. And then just last night, we did the Amazon Prime Now Fresh tour in Soto. And I really like doing tours, and I think that they're very educational for people. I think they're very interactive, and people do end up learning, I think, just about how things work. I mean, we went and looked at really a trash collection facility and learned about how that happens and how you transport waste. And it actually really is really educational. So I mean, from a committee perspective, I do want to say that it's about the time that you want to put into the organization. There's nothing mandatory about being on the PD committee or any committee really in general. It's volunteer, right? So it's basically what can you offer with the time that you have. But the plant tours, for example, are very straightforward. We really just have to coordinate with wherever it is that we're touring, and it's a pretty straightforward event. There's minimal logistics and coordination that really has to happen. So that's just an idea. Obviously, there's a bunch of other things out there that we could do, workshops, speaker events, panels, and whatnot. But just really kind of need, some folks to help out. I do what I can, but I am only one person. So if you are interested, please do send me an email. It's not on here, but it's swe.pnw.prof.develop@gmail, and happy to get on the phone and chat about some of your ideas and what you're generally interested in doing.
Yeah, so on that note, one of the questions that I've got in terms of, levels of engagement. You talked about any help is good help. If somebody's got an idea for a professional development event, and they're not sure that they're the right person to actually implement that, can they still submit ideas over to you without the need to actually help plan it, in the sense of, are you looking for ideas too?
For sure. No, I mean, I'm always looking for ideas. The couple things that we did earlier in the year, so we did a communications workshop co-sponsored by the Humphrey Group, and then again the Factoria Recycling and Transfer Station. Those were brand new events that we have not done before. Last year, I hosted a panel called Reinvent with 3 women who have made significant career shifts in their time. Those are newer things. I don't think we've done those particular events before. I think we like having some consistent events, like, again, the banquet, the Enso Center. We've done the Amazon Prime Now tour for a few years now. I think we like some consistency, but we obviously want to change it up a little bit. So no, you sending an idea to me does not mean that you have to own it and run with it. Although I would love that, but I'm totally asking for ideas and thoughts as well.
Yeah, that's excellent to hear. And also, for those that maybe don't remember all the email addresses and things like that as we're reading them off or things like that, that's all available on our webpage. And we do also have a contact us form out on the webpage. So if you're not sure where your question should go, that contact us form is the one great way to get into the section with your feedback or your information, and to make sure it gets routed to the right place. So definitely encourage people to reach out to Sonia if they're interested in helping in any aspect of professional development,
Right.
because that's a core part of what we like to have as our not only society mission, but our local section mission as well.
Right.
So any parting thoughts on professional development, Sonia, before we go to the next topic?
Nope, that's about it. Again, if you have any ideas, feel free to reach out to me. And if you're not even sure if it's a PD event or not, you can reach out to me and I can help with making that determination. So
good to know. All right, so with that, I know people that follow our SWE fiscal year know we're kind of getting towards the back part of our year, which means that we should be talking about our FY20 election cycle. So we are going to go through a status update on our election cycle. One thing to give everybody the heads up, we are going to try to keep in our digital digest until we get through our election cycle a little bit of a section where we'll talk about where we're at the election. And we'll make sure that you've got the latest and greatest information. So speaking of the latest and greatest, you may be wondering where we are today. So up first is we've collected a few people who have submitted their names and volunteered for our NOMCOM. There is a formal process to that has to be presented to the EC for an official motion and approval. So that'll be done on Sunday, the 10th meeting. So at that meeting, there'll be a motion to approve the slated FY19 NOMCOM members. There's some official language in our bylaws, so I've tried to translate that here so that it's understandable to people that maybe aren't as intimately familiar with our bylaws. And then after that motion, if it passes, the NOMCOM will be officially formed, and the NOMCOM will start working on our election cycle. And you may be wondering what our election cycle looks like. And we've got a lot of steps here, but the first step is really going to be the NOMCOM forms, figure out how they want to work, and then there's going to be a call for candidates sent out. And then as we go through the election process, we'll kind of track all of this stuff and make sure everybody's got the latest information there. So I won't go through all of those details today, but you can definitely see this slide. We do post the slides from our digital digest out to our webpage as well, so you can take a look at the past slide decks and you can check this out. So the biggest part here in terms of like what the next steps for our members in terms of the election process is submit your name as a candidate and run for one of our section's elected officer positions. Right now, we are also in the process of going through our bylaws updates with the society, in part because of the governance changes. So our positions are currently getting looked at in terms of the bylaws. If you're interested in learning more about what the options might be for the FY20 election cycle, or if you're interested in a specific position that was elected this year, send an email over to the SWE.PNW.nomination@gmail.com. Since we are just going to be getting our NOMCOM officially launched in the next week or so, we'll take any feedback to that email just know that there might be a little bit of a delay time as we get everybody up and running with the right access to the accounts, and get the NomCom coordination going. But the biggest piece that everybody can do who is an official SWE member who is associated with the SWE PNW section is that when we put out the call for feedback on the candidate slate and we put out the call for voting, make sure you vote. We really, really want to make sure that we have engagement on our elections. So make sure that you watch for those announcements. They will get cross-posted. They'll be up on our webpage. They'll go out on email. They'll be out on social media. So we'll hit all of the platforms with any of our election information. And we really want to make sure that you've got the accessible information and that you can engage and vote within our election cycle. And if you've got any questions, you can email them over to the SWE PNW nomination email or to the swe.pnw.pres.elect@gmail.com email, and we will happily answer them on our election cycle.
Teresa, question for you.
Yeah.
Do I have to, if I'm not a member, do I have to become a member within a certain amount of time to be able to vote?
So you have to become a member. Okay, this is going to sound slightly complicated. So we are in fiscal year 19. If you want to vote in the FY20 election, which is held in FY19, you need to become a member in FY19. So at a certain point in time, SWE transitions when you register, because you start to get too late in the year and then they basically have you register for next year. For those cycle times and the SWE membership cycles, I would definitely encourage you to go check the SWE.org site. I think they talk about some of the dates out there. I don't know them off the top of my head. But if you want to make sure that you're voting in the election, in our election as a SWE PNW member affiliated with SWE PNW as a section, I would highly make sure that you check your membership status between March and the middle of April to make sure that you're eligible to vote in our election.
Awesome.
Does that help answer the question?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, we're officially going to wrap up our SWE business and all activities on that. A couple of housekeeping wrap-ups is that we want to remind everybody to watch for the Enso Center workshop sign-up coming up soon. Make sure that you sign up for We Local Bellevue. The best rates are the early bird rates, so make sure you're signing up ahead of that early bird deadline. And as always, volunteer. We always have places where we could use help, and from any small efforts to big efforts, we can right-size those volunteer opportunities to your interest, and we will take that help. Sonia, any final sort of digital digest thoughts before we switch over to our AMA session?
No, I think it was a good session. Hopefully it was informative for everyone. And I have to make a plug. In addition to We Local Bellevue, definitely look out for the banquet. That's all.
Yep, great stuff. All right, so I think we're going to transition over to our Ask Me Anything portion of our discussion. For those listening live, we are taking questions out in our Facebook event discussion for this that was posted out on our page today. So make sure you go check and post questions there. We will let the audio catch up a little bit, and we'll kind of vamp here while we wait for questions. And I do see that we have one question out there already. Elaine has submitted a question for us, and she is asking, is there a bigger push for He for SWE within SWE? Now, you may be wondering what He for SWE is. So He for SWE is sort of a subset of the Society of Women Engineers, where men as diversity partners are pushing for the same mission and vision statement that SWE is. I was able to find the mission statement here, and the mission statement is the He for SWE movement aims to develop a supportive and stereotype-free environment within participating SWE sections by including male students, not only as participants in its activities, but also as active members of the Society of Women Engineers, where they will promote SWE's motto to support women and achieve their full potential. And basically what that translates to is, men and women working together, both in school and in professionals, and, men as diversity partners, and trying to eliminate that stereotype of the working environment being male dominated. So a little bit of background on He for SWE. There's also a couple great articles on the SWE Society blog altogether on He for SWE. Now, in terms of coming back to Elaine's question, is there a bigger push for SWE within SWE? I think that there is a bigger visibility to that being a subset. I know I've seen that a lot more at the society conferences. They've had some sessions on that. They've had a Heath for SWE booth at the Boutique. And I will absolutely credit where I got that mission statement from, was there was a great discussion going on in the society Facebook group about, potentially having He for SWE as an affinity group out there. So I would definitely encourage you, if you're curious to learn more about He for SWE or affinity groups, make sure you're a member of the society level SWE group. In terms of a push for it, I think there's an invitation for people to bring it, because I think it takes a lot of making sure there's the right people to help lead that within a section. I know there are sections that have a lot of men that are SWE members, and there's a lot of sections that don't have that kind of engagement. So I think there's an invitation for sections to try to figure out how to make sure they're inclusive to providing that environment for men as diversity partners, while also focusing on the, SWE mission and vision statement. So, Elaine, hopefully that gives you at least some insights. Sorry, I'm not sure that I have a better answer on the push side, but all I'm going to say is thank God for mobile devices and being able to look things up quickly. So as we sit here and see if there's anything else that posts out there, Sonia, because I know you've been a section leader in professional development for a while with SWE PNW. Do you want to talk a little bit about what it's like to be sort of the leader of that over the span of several years, and what that has kind of helped you understand about the role and how to be successful with bringing professional development to the section?
Yeah, I think, I would say that being in the role now a couple different times, I think you're just always trying to figure out like how to move along with the times and try to figure out how to address, certain challenges that you're hearing folks dealing with in the workplace, and then obviously then trying to come up with just new ideas, things that we haven't done before. Again, generally we're doing about an event a month. Sometimes we don't even hit one event in a month, just depending on other things that are going on. But it'd be nice again to do more. I really like doing things like a communications workshop. We did that in January. I'm thinking about doing like a part 2. But I think the biggest thing is just that you're continuing to address some of the challenges and pain points that you're hearing people are dealing with, whether in the workplace, whether it's trying to make a career switch and how you go about doing that, or exposing people just to different types of industries. And that's kind of how I ultimately see the benefit of plant tours, is because that's what they do, right? They basically educate you on generally a space that you're not working in. So yeah, I think it's taking the feedback from members and from people around you and trying to create events and activities that just continue to educate people and give people access to potentially different opportunities that they didn't think that they had.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's always nice to sort of see how things evolve over the course of many years, especially when you have that consistency. If there was one thing that you wished you would have known when you came to the role of VP of Professional Development, thinking ahead to people that might be thinking of doing that in their future SWE career, what's one thing that you would have liked to know coming into the role that you know now that you didn't then?
I don't know if there's anything in particular I would have wished I knew. I guess I kind of just wish that there was more, than just me, right? And I've tried to get different folks on the committees, and there have been people that have been on the committees. But I think what would serve the VP of PD well going forward, whether that's me or not, is potentially coming up with a structure of a committee, right? So I kind of played around with this at some point, but if you build a committee where someone is the chair of tours, plant tours or the chair of workshops. I think that people naturally feel more ownership when they are some sort of they have some sort of like responsibility or chair. So that's kind of a thought I have had. Maybe that's something that we could think about rolling out, at a later point, where folks are actually assigned, a specific area and they can concentrate on that, as opposed to, just not knowing exactly what they may be able to contribute. So that's just an idea I have. So nothing I necessarily wish that I knew in advance, but something like that we could try. And yeah, that's pretty much it, Teresa.
Yeah, no, they're all great thoughts, and actually, it's kind of in line with some of the discussions that have come up, not only on our section bylaws, but as I also sit on the leadership coaching committee, so I get to kind of work with several other sections on their structure and best practices, and in bylaws discussions. There's been a lot of conversation about what's structure, what's elected, what's chairs. Chairs are not elected necessarily, but they could be defined in like a section operating procedure versus leads and things like that, and how every section's got a very unique approach to how they do that, and even within a section it can be different. But there's some great thoughts in and around some of the stuff that has come up on our bylaws discussion that we're kind of archiving, because it's not bylaws level stuff, but it's stuff that, we should parking lot that and figure out what to do with it once we finish our bylaws discussion.
Right.
So
exactly.
So yeah, I'll lean in the right direction. So I'm double checking the Facebook group here. So far it looks like we may have had our one question for the evening, which I appreciate Elaine for submitting. Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine.
Were there any other thoughts or questions, Sonia, that you wanted to put out today as we do one last check?
Yeah, I guess the only thing I would say is, if you're considering, running for the EC, definitely reach out to the folks on the committee now, on the EC now. Questions like Teresa asked me about my experience with PD would probably be helpful for people to understand a little bit more in detail about the role and what we do and where our challenges are. So if you are interested at all, I would encourage you to go ahead and reach out to us. We're always happy to get on the phone and talk to you in more detail about the role. So don't need to feel like you have to commit if you're just interested in understanding a little bit more about that. So I do encourage that.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And that's what, when we were talking about our status update on the election cycle, sending those kind of questions over to the nomination email is also another great way. If you're not really sure what role fits with where you might be interested, we're happy to address that. I do know that in our previous election cycles, we've put a lot of stuff out on the blog with regards to the positions. So I would also encourage you, we're going to probably do some similar blog postings this year, especially with the new bylaws and trying to like stitch what was in the past to how we're going to go forward once our bylaws get approved. But I'd encourage you to go out and look at past posts for elections, because there's some good descriptions out there on the way the positions are defined today, and that can also give you some insight too. And that could be a great first step if you're not sure you want to talk to somebody yet too, for those that might be a little bit shy on that front.
Right.
All right, so I think we have officially vamped enough, and we have gone over our time in terms of our full hour of content here. So thank you, Sonia, for helping us with that.
Thanks, Teresa.
And we will officially say good evening to everybody watching live. And we hope those that have watched on the live broadcast have also gotten some valuable information. So thank you, and we'll see you at our next Digital Digest and or SWE PNW face-to-face event.
Thank you.